Newcastle United are one of the grandest football clubs on the planet, and over their remarkable 144-year history, the 6 times FA Cup winners have become an invaluable thread in the English football tapestry. Their fan base is hailed the world over for their passion, dedication and fierce love of their football club. But the one thing that the Toon Army is most revered for is the almost unrivaled atmosphere that they create in their St James's Park Stadium right behind me.
The Geordies' ability to shake the very foundations of this place may not have changed over the years, but their 2021 Saudi takeover looks set to alter things for generations to come. And as it's becoming increasingly fashionable among the Premier League's elite, one thing near the top of the owners' to-do list is to increase the capacity. Now that could see them extend this iconic old ground, or believe it or not, knock it down entirely and build a brand new one somewhere else.
Either way, it'll be a seismic change for the Magpies, so with the help of die-hard Newcastle fans and journalists who know the club inside and out, this video does a deep dive into what the options are, what club bosses want to achieve, and most importantly of all, what supporters think.
Newcastle is a religion to the Geordies.
That sense where it completely controls my life.
Nobody else supports anybody. Yeah, it's Newcastle United through and through.
And Newcastle United is quite simply my life.
So let's go back in time. St James's Park is one of the oldest football grounds in the country, and the one-of-a-kind arena has a rich history, electric atmosphere and unique reputation in the heart of a true one-club city. St James's has hosted Newcastle United since their formation in 1892, which was 12 years after Newcastle Rangers became the first team ever to play football on the former grazing ground. But calling one place home for 133 years comes with issues as well as an unbreakable emotional bond. The ground's first major development came in 1899 when the Gallowgate end was rebuilt and other stands were added to increase the overall capacity to 30,000. And that was doubled to 60,000 after Newcastle's first top-flight title in 1905, with the construction of a main stand on Barrack Road, now the Milburn stand, and other developments including a swimming pool. As with most English stadiums, St James's Park has been built gradually with new stands, floodlights and extensions added separately over the years. However, after seating safety laws changed in 1990, the club had to slash their 60k capacity to just 36,310 by the end of 1995. But with Alan Shearer and co threatening to win the club's first title since 1927, that was nowhere near enough. So Chairman Sir John Hall proposed building a new arena on next door Leazy's Park, but local objection killed that plan and the club were forced to explore alternatives. That led to a £43 million extension completed in 2000, which saw the Milburn and Leazy's stands extended upwards to take the overall capacity to the 52,304 it remains today.
You go in the city centre and you see the stadium, you feel the stadium. It's a cathedral of football for the city.
Whenever you walk into town, even if you're just shopping, for example, you see St James's Park, it stands out straight away. It always gives you that sense of pride.
You know, that's why the stadium thing is so emotive. It's part of people's lives. Generations have been at the stadium.
This club means absolutely everything to everyone.
So why now? Newcastle have the 8th largest football stadium in England and the 7th biggest in the Premier League. But since Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund bankrolled a run to the Champions League and 2 League Cup finals, spare tickets have been rarer than rocking horse drop-ins, and fans want that to change. The club only sell 32,000 season tickets, with new ones nearly impossible to come by, with more than 30,000 people applying for just 1,000 the last time a new batch went on sale in 2022. Reports also suggest there are between 88,000 and 150,000 members, meaning tens of thousands miss out on tickets every week, with only 10,000 non-hospitality entries available for most games. Newcastle's owners are desperate to be the best on all fronts, with their act the part, look the part strategy designed to propel them to the big boys table of European football. But as unimaginably wealthy as the Saudis are, they are bound by the same football finance rules as everyone else. So ultimately, a larger ground means less unhappy fans and more matchday income, which in the age of PSR and FFP is cold hard cash most owners do not want to miss out on. So what are the club planning? Put simply, Newcastle have 2 options: stay and redevelop St James's, or knock the stadium down and build a brand new one. Chairman Yasser Al-Rumayyan flew in for stadium talks in February and attended Newcastle's 4-3 win over Nottingham Forest as part of that trip. Then just days later, Chief Commercial Officer Peter Silverstone confirmed an announcement is coming soon and hinted that a new ground might be the preferred option. However, that either suggests a split among the board or a change of stance, because Silverstone's comments were at direct odds with those of Chief Operating Officer Brad Miller, who in November 2024 suggested the board's first choice is to stay put. So let's have a look at Newcastle's options, starting with option 1, to redevelop. Adding more seats to St James's is tricky and will not come cheap, but it will maintain Newcastle's electric atmosphere, their iconic slope pitch and their ability to stick the away fans up in the gods. Miller promised a once-in-a-generation investment into any redevelopment, and to be honest, that is exactly what it will need. The expansion plan would increase the capacity by 12,700 to around 65,000 to make St James's the Premier League's second biggest ground behind Old Trafford. They would achieve that by turning the 11,000-seat Gallowgate end into one of Europe's largest single-tiered stands to rival Borussia Dortmund's iconic yellow wall or Tottenham's South Stand. Around 9,000 extra seats would be added, with the remaining 3,700 scattered throughout the remainder of the ground.
The noise that the Geordies generate as well is something else. You really have to be in there. It's hard to describe.
We've got a real boisterous crowd, and especially the Gallowgate end, I think, does produce the majority of the noise.
Extend the Gallowgate and, like you say, create a big wall like what Dortmund have and what Tottenham have. It would be intimidating.
Many fans assume the single-tiered east side would be extended, as it's currently dwarfed by the triple-tiered Lees's and Milburn stands. But behind the east stand sits a row of Grade 1 and 2 listed Georgian buildings, plus a strip of so-called ransom land bought by a local businessman in 2022, meaning an expansion on that side of the ground is almost impossible. Other reports suggest the club will focus on the Gallowgate alone and then instead spend big to upgrade their dated training facilities. But that would only increase the overall capacity to 60,300, with the rest of the stadium left exactly as it is now, which does beg the question, would it be worth it?
If you demolish this place, I think a lot of fans would be upset. I think if they don't keep St James's, I think it'd be a major loss to English football.
So what about option 2, a brand new stadium? Now, this is by far the most expensive option, but for many fans, it's also the most exciting. Newcastle have already employed architects to develop proposals for a new stadium, but club execs and the fans are petrified about losing St James's rich history and atmosphere. A new ground would hold around 70,000 fans, an increase of nearly 18,000, which is more than Brentford and Bournemouth can fit in their entire stadiums. But St James's iconic hilltop city centre location is sacred to the Geordies, and most of them would not be happy if that were to be taken away. Fortunately for those fans, the club's owners recently built the 3,000 capacity St James's Stack fan park right behind the Gallowgate, which suggests even if they do build a new stadium, they won't be going far. Recent reports also suggested as much, with the adjacent Lees's Park revealed as the preferred location for a new build, but just like the club found in the 90s, there'll be significant legal hurdles to jump and heavy resistance from locals who want to protect the Grade 2 listed park. However, club chiefs are confident they can overcome those issues for two reasons. Firstly, because the proposal sees the majority of the new stadium built on St James's existing footprint, with only a small section intruding into the park. And secondly, the project would see new parkland built on any unused areas of St James's current site to offset any land loss. As for what the new stadium would look like, the proposals are shrouded in mystery. Recent reports mentioned a bubble wrap design to give the exterior a similar look to French club Le Havre's Stade Océan. And with hospitality packages driving huge revenues at most elite stadiums, club chiefs will want to maximise their corporate offerings, which will also have a bearing on what the inside of the ground looks like.
I feel like the more hospitality packages include, of course, the atmosphere is going to be deducted.
You get a good view and a nice padded seat, but I think this club is more due to like fans like me who go week in, week out, who don't really... Yes, the revenue's good, but we want to come here and just support the team and screw at them players and make them work the socks off and pick up them 3 points.
As well as a focus on football, Newcastle want any new stadium to be used as a multi-purpose entertainment venue like Tottenham have done and Man City are targeting with their Etihad campus. So while it remains unclear exactly what a new Newcastle stadium would include, with virtually unlimited Saudi money and a relentless desire to be the best, fans can expect cutting-edge technology, staggering design and high-end hospitality areas at the very least.
The big thing about leaving St James's Park is the atmosphere.
When the club's down and we're getting beat, the players know about it, which I quite like.
Do you risk potentially going to a new stadium and losing that because you've gone too big with the attendance, you're too far away from the pitch?
If you build a new stadium and you don't get many people there who are there to make a noise and get that team to get 3 points rather than going to just go, oh look at me, I've been to this brand new stadium. You want fans to be there who are wanting to support this football club, sing the hearts out and stuff, and that's the main thing for me they've got to keep.
Yes, you know, more money, more revenue, bigger capacity, what it can unlock in the future, but this is home and we want to stay.
So how much will all of this cost? Because of either project's city centre location and the logistical challenges that brings, plus the club's desire to deliver to a world-leading standard, any construction costs are set to be huge. The Gallowgate-led expansion would set the club back between 800 million and £1 billion, but that is nothing compared to the brand new stadium proposal, which is understood to have been priced between 2 and 3 billion. That will make Newcastle's the second most expensive stadium ever behind the LA Rams SoFi Arena. And by way of a UK comparison, Liverpool spent £80 million on their Anfield Road expansion, Fulham paid £120 million for their Riverside stand, Man City's North Stand development is costing them £300 million, and Tottenham splashed £1 billion on their shiny new ground. Other projects on the horizon also include Arsenal's £300 million Emirates expansion and Manchester United's £2 billion Old Trafford regeneration. So how long will all of this take?
The club are really taking their time with it. We got told about September, October that we'd probably hear a decision about now, first quarter of this year, and still they keep putting it back.
In short, an announcement is due very, very soon. But that does not mean fans can expect steel toe-cap boots on the ground within the next few months. The design consultation period will be anywhere up to 2 years before the building phase of around 3 for a St James's redevelopment and 5 for a brand new ground. Newcastle may not need to fully vacate St James's if they redevelop, but they certainly would if they build a new stadium next door. And with that period likely to be measured in years rather than months, finding a temporary home would be one of the project's biggest challenges. The 3 suggested venues are Middlesbrough's Riverside Stadium, Scotland Rugby's Murrayfield Arena and the Stadium of Light, home of Newcastle's hated rivals Sunderland. But none of these options are perfect. In fact, all of them have at least one major drawback. Murrayfield's 67,000 capacity means more fans could watch the team during the build, but Edinburgh is a 220-mile round trip from Newcastle, meaning at least 5 hours travel on match days for fans. Now, Middlesbrough is only 50 minutes away, and given the Toon Army hate Borough less than they hate Sunderland, the financial incentive to the Teessiders means they may entertain a ground share arrangement. But their 34,742 capacity means around 18,000 Newcastle regulars would be prevented from watching their team. So that leaves Sunderland, less than 15 miles away, just half an hour in the car, 49,000 capacity. Sounds perfect, right?
I don't think any fan wants to go to Sunderland. Sunderland is an absolute no-go.
Sunderland, 1,000,000% will not happen.
And never in a million years do I see Newcastle Groundsharing with Sunderland.
There's nothing Sunderland to do to help out.
The Fundy police will absolutely whip them, so we've seen something like that. So,
oh, or maybe not. Well, definitely not actually, because despite the fact both sets of fans would hate it and the significant safety concerns involved, Sunderland's Chief Business Officer David Bruce recently stated that a ground share would not be entertained. So will all of this be worth it? Newcastle will drop to 8th in the Premier League's capacity rankings next season when Everton move into their new Bramley Moor dock home. And they're going to lose even more ground when Man City complete their North Stand project next year, plus Arsenal, Man United and Chelsea are all exploring mega money stadium projects of their own. And all of that is reflected in the latest matchday revenue reports, which show Newcastle made just £40 million last season, way behind Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool and Spurs. Now, expanding St James's to 65,000 would be a 25% capacity increase, meaning a similar boost would take their total annual matchday income to around 50 million quid, although that could increase if the development includes additional bars, food stalls and hospitality offerings. However, in line with Miller and Silverstone's claims that a new stadium would provide greater revenue, a brand spanking new 70,000 seat arena is expected to deliver around 100 to 110 million in annual matchday wonga.
The most hated 3 letters on Tyneside, PSR. Money's everything in football nowadays, which is a shame.
We've just had 3 transfer windows of Newcastle not being able to spend a penny, and fans are thinking, well, if a new stadium means we're going to get new shiny players, then it's probably worth doing.
we haven't bought first team player in 2 years now. And that's a big problem for us. And despite the fact how good Newcastle's been on the pitch, we're still being held back by our revenue, by not being able to produce enough money to then put it in the transfers.
Business-wise, Daniel Levy's done a great job, hasn't he, at Tottenham? But if you ask the fans that are like Daniel Levy, they'll say no. Newcastle fans have had a long time where it's been business first with Mike Ashley, and I don't think they would settle for that.
Newcastle will be the best of the best, so in order for us to do that, we have to just go out there and we have to be able to have that money ready, and we need a new stadium to do that.
Many Newcastle fans believe the club have already decided on a new stadium and that Silverstone's words were designed to plant the seed and gauge fan reaction before announcing it anyway. But whichever option the club's board choose and however much money the Saudis spend, their desire to be the very best on all fronts must be balanced with consideration for their loyal and passionate fan base who have supported this team for generations, through the good times and the bad.
For my personal note, I'd love to stay at the stadium.
I would love it if we just stayed at St James's Park and expanded on what we have now.
Asked me this a year ago, I would say I'm dead against going, I want to stay, but I think now I'm really open to the idea of a new stadium.
I think the heart will overrule business, and I think they will stay.
My message for the Newcastle United owners would be,
The pricing has to be fair.
if you can improve the stadium to 60 to 65k, bring more fans into the stadium, I would absolutely love it, because this place is the world of us.
Get it, we know that you want to have a lot of revenue coming in on the match day, but do not price fans out of the game is perhaps my biggest message out of it.